Hello. All right, we're going to get started on the book Stitch Along. Make sure that you've put your fabric back into your hoop. I'm using a bigger hoop today, if you've noticed. That is because we're going to do this big, long, twirly, less one, okay? So first, you need to pick a color, okay? For the color, I think I'm going to pick a green. Maybe like a light green with like a dark green too. You need 2 colors. We're going to actually add to this throughout the stitch along. So if you've got 2 colors that are easily accessible, grab them. Okay. I also had a question about the hoop huggies. I get mine in a big bag of like 1,000. So I've got tons and tons and tons of them. And because of that, I sell them super cheap. So they should be on my website. If they're not, I will add them and then you can buy them if you'd like to. But they are little spool things for machine embroidery. So if you know about spools of thread, obviously, you know, there's often thread on a spool and then you have that long piece that kind of like dangles down. You're supposed to wind it on your spool of thread. And if it hasn't got the little notch in the top to like notch it, do you know what I'm saying? Notch it like that. What you can do is you can buy these things and they go around your spool of thread and they hold the long piece of thread onto the spool of thread so that it doesn't unwind. I hope I explained that right. Lots of hand motions. But I found a different use, and my use is that oftentimes when I'm stitching, especially on sweatshirts or big pieces of fabric like this part annoys me. There's like nothing that you can really do with it. I always stitched it like into the back of my embroideries and stuff. So what I do is I use them in a different way. So I kind of fold, roll away like this. Guys, my eye's been twitching, both my eyes, for 3 or 4 days now. It's so annoying. As much or as little as you want. Do you know what I mean? Like you can like roll all of this up like that if you want to. And the reason I was looking for an alternative is because I was using clips. So I've got one in my hair now, but I was using like one of these clips, which also works really great. However, my thread was getting caught on the top of it here and I was getting really annoyed. So that's why I was searching for something else and I found these. So that's really the only reason that I have them in my shop, because I've repurposed them for something else. Right, so what we're going to do today is couching. You need all 6 strands and then also 1 or 2 strands of another color. Okay, so what we're going to do is go up from the back here with your first color and we're going to lay the thread in the kind of trail that I've made. And then as we're laying it, we're going to tack it in place with a tiny little straight stitch just to make sure that it stays in that area. Like this, like the little area that I've made. And then later we're going to add some more things to it and around it so it looks a bit more like a vine or like a flower vine, I guess you can say. So what you need to do is pick 2 colors. You can pick the same color for the couching and the tacking, or you can pick 2 different colors and have, say like a bright color for the big long vine. And then you could have like a darker color like that for your couching. Okay? Yeah, I might have missed what you were saying just then, but do you sell the hoop grips in your shop, please? I'm pretty sure that I had them listed, but if I don't, I'll check tonight and I will list them. Okay, just let me take a picture tomorrow and then I'll list them tomorrow for you so that I can make sure that you're like getting the best price and stuff. So there you go. I think what I'm going to do is use this one because it's quite bright and fun, and then do this one as the tacking, because then you can both see what I'm doing and also it'll be quite fun for me. So what you need to do is make sure that you've got about the right length, okay? And this is the extremely scientific method that I use, especially if I've got a nice big area like this, okay? Because when you're tacking the thread down, you can't actually go back and get more, you know? It looks a bit weird if you do that. So what we're going to do is just... Mel, of course you can be nosy. Don't worry. And I know, I'm sure that, like, you might have even messaged me that. I'm not going to lie. I've been a bit preoccupied with my own health stuff, but also we've got some other news about the family tonight, so that's not exactly happy news. So I've been trying to like keep on top of my DMs, but I know for sure I'm missing some, so I'm really sorry if you've already asked that. Right, so I've got about this length, okay, by just following the line. With my big 6-strand needle, let me grab it. What I'm going to do, you can use the same needle for both. You don't have to have 2 needles, okay? I'm just going to do a little knot at the end, okay? So with this one, we're going to come up from the back. This is what happens when you have such a long thread, though, is that oftentimes it gets tangled. But I don't want to take a chance and, you know, run out. Right, now you need your other color of thread. And for this one, it doesn't really matter if it's like super long. Oh, I was just about to cut it, but that's the end of it. So I guess I could just take some of that. You need kind of I'm going to say 2 strands or 1 strand. I'm going to do two strands. And with this one, we're just going to do a tiny little straight stitch across the length of our 6 strands, okay? So you're literally going to do stitches that are like that tiny. Okay, so take your other 2 strands, put it on your needle. It's going to be so annoying because it's been on here for so long, I can just tell. Okay. All right, let's get set up so you guys don't get like seasickness by watching this. Is that pretty good? Let's put this a bit closer. Is that bright enough? Hope so. Okay, so we've got our 6 strands like this. We've got our 2 strands on our needle, and we haven't done anything to it yet. So what you're going to do is, as you're going along on here, you're going to come up from the back a little bit on your line. This is called couching. We're going to put this here like this and just put a tiny little stitch over your thread. Now with this, I think it looks the best if you do the same the same width between your couching stitches, okay? So don't put one here and then one like way down here and then one here and then one over here, okay? What we're doing is we're tacking this thread down in whatever line that we want it to go in. So with this, we can make it really, really tight turns. We can make it really, really long like that. But whatever kind of I think it looks best if you have the same, almost like your stitch length, keep the same amount of space between your tacking stitches, okay? Now saying that, if you do not want to do that, you don't have to. You can make them any length between them that you want to. Also, you can also make this the same color. So I'm using a different color so that you can, one, see it very clearly. But two, I think it might add a little bit of like something to it. But you could also use the exact same color that you've got, in your all 6 strands here as your tacking stitches, and they'll actually like blend together and you won't see them so much. So that's completely up to you and how you want it to look. And also a very small reminder that when we're doing curves, you might have to make them a little bit closer together. So I tend to err on the side of caution with these and do them a little bit closer together than I probably want, just because you don't want it to like all of a sudden be super, super close. But you also don't want your curve to be angular. Yeah? So all we're doing is just following this line. Of course I can. I should have just cut it, huh? Just kind of like laying this thread where I want it to go. Coming up on the line. And then doing a tiny little stitch, just the same width as that 6 strands of thread. And tacking it in place. Oops. Sorry. It's actually quite a simple stitch, but it's really effective. It's really nice for lettering. It's really nice for something like this, obviously. So it's meant to look a little bit like a vine, and then we'll add like little flowers and stuff later. Yeah? So this is what you're going to do. Mel says, cute. Thank you. Again, it's not like a crazy stitch or anything like that. And I've taught it before, so it's not like, but it's quite effective. No. And you're literally just going to do this the entire way through. So we'll do like 5-10 more minutes. And then leave you, because that's really all we're doing today. It's very soothing to watch and listen to you stitch. Oh, good. I'll try not to talk. I will say this is one of those where, like, if you've got a bit of a wonky line, you can fix it because you're not actually doing individual stitches. Yeah? So it's kind of like, it kind of just like lays where you put it. So even if you did like a really like jaggedy, like wobbly line, it doesn't really matter because wherever you lay your thread, that's kind of where it's going to go. So it's kind of nice in that way. Mel, I don't know if you saw the first video or not, because I can't remember if you were there or not. Maybe you were. But sometimes you dip in and dip out, and I totally get that, because I do that all the time, especially with people who go live. But at the beginning of the video, I shared what music I use, and the music is actually from my kids' Yoto player. So I got them a Yoto player 2 years ago, maybe? And this one is called Gentle Piano, maybe? I think. And they've got one that's called like Gentle Guitar, and they've got a Gentle something else too. But it's basically just like different instruments that play like the same songs. And the piano one is the best one. I listen to it all the time. Actually, I've misplaced it, and I've had to do like a make your own card of it because I like it so much. Knew there was a knot back there. Oh, so annoying. I'm just gonna have to keep going because otherwise it'll take ages. So yeah, I tend to kind of, let me just, I was at the first video late. Yeah, I thought I saw you, actually. Do you know what? I just one of those things where sometimes I just think I'm losing my mind. But I'm fairly certain I saw you in there. So I thought you did, but I thought you didn't come at the very, very beginning, which is why I said. So sorry about that. But this is kind of how I like to stitch this one. Because of the couching, it can be a little bit tricky to like sort your thread, but then also sort the thread at the back. So what I tend to do, I've just zoomed like super out, is I've got my long thread here, like I measured out at the beginning. I put this part forward like that, but most of it this way. And then I've got my working thread at the top. And then I kind of just guide it where I want to with my thumb up here. Please don't. Not today, guys. Okay? Can't handle it today. And then you just do that tiny little tacking stitch as you go. So after you kind of like get into the groove of it, it doesn't go that slowly, you know? Also, I like to decide if I'm going to go up on the line. So I'm just going to zoom in again. Okay. As I'm stitching, I like to decide if I'm going to go up on the line. Okay. As I'm stitching, I like to decide if I'm going to go up on the line here or next to it like that. Okay. I've decided for this one, I'm going to go up on the line. So all of my stitches coming up here are going to be on the line that I've done. Yeah. And then I'm going to pull it over like that and tack it down like that. That way they kind of are all on the line as I'm going. And I'm kind of pulling that thread over this green thread, the light green thread, over to the line that I've already made. Does that make any sense? Okay. So when I do it like that, goes like that. It's not too big, so it's the size of the whole pattern is the size of 2 pieces of paper, just regular pieces of printer paper. And when you fold it down, it's the size of like 1/4 of a piece of paper. So if you fold a piece of paper in half and then half the other way, that's kind of how big it'll be. Which is quite a big piece of fabric because we've got to do it all at once. You'd actually find this really interesting. I don't know if you watched like the prep video at all, because I know you said you were just like having a peek. But go back and watch the prep video, because we're making the book out of one big piece of fabric. And we're going to cut the middle of it to make the book. So you can kind of like practice on regular paper if you want to, how to make the book. Okay? So this is basically it. You're going to do this all the way down, and that's the only stitch that we're learning today. Okay? Do we have any questions? I know we've had a question about the S from yesterday, and I'm going to make a reel about that tomorrow. I might buy a fancy microphone, you know. Everyone's got these like super cute microphones with like the fuzz on them. Maybe I'll get a little microphone so I can do voiceovers and be like a proper influencer. Okay, so there we go. You can see they're pretty much almost the same. I'm only stitching through one piece of fabric with this. I would probably only do one for this one, for the book, only because we're going to cut the middle and then fold it and stitch it together. And if you've got 2 pieces of fabric flopping about, in the end, you're going to have to stitch through 4 pieces of fabric to get them together. So remember, when I did these ones here, yeah, you've got your 2 pieces like that we're going to stitch together at the end to make the actual book. So this is the size of the book in the end. I'm just going to do the one, because once they're doubled up, you're not going to see the back, but also you've got your 2 pages together to make 1 page. Does that make sense? That's going to go in the next bag. Does that make sense? Because I say it all the freaking time. It's so annoying. Okay, so that's what I've got for today. So what you need to do is couch all along this little trail like that, okay? If you're really clever, you can stop it about here. And for the last little bit, we can put a little bee there. Wouldn't that be so cute? Like a little bee. Wouldn't that be cute? So it'd be like the bee is making the flutter. Okay, I'm done. Good night. I will see you tomorrow for the next bit. Don't forget, send me a picture, tag me in your progress photos, and on Sunday I'll pick one person to get a 15-pound store credit for my store. So you can get anything in there, 15 pounds, or you can use the 15 pounds towards something bigger like a kit or some hoop huggies, although they're super cheap though, so you can get a ton of them for 15 pounds. So yeah, do that, and I can't wait to see what colors you pick and how you do. So yeah, I'll talk with you tomorrow.